So, as you read in the title, you might like opinions, but not only opinions, but also my experiences with porn. First of all, it is a very taboo element. But it's also very important to talk about. And it's taboo for a reason. Because it's something that we hide often. It is something that is within us. A lot of people struggle with porn addiction. For example, 20% of men have a porn addiction, and 7% of women have a porn addiction. Of course, these numbers are much lower because a lot of people are too scared to get treatment. A lot of people don't realize they have a porn addiction, and most people don't realize they have a problem. So, why is this a problem? Porn. It's just TV, but sex. So a lot of people just think, and isn't it just like reading erotic books or listening to erotic audios? No, the biggest difference here is that you're watching something vulgar, because sex in itself, in different languages, you can translate it to making love in English, for example, or in Italian, fare l'amore. It's something that goes into your soul. It's something that is not just sexual when you have sex, of course. It's something that brings pleasure, but it's something that's deeper than just pleasure and sex. So what is my experience with this topic? Of course, I'm only 17, so I am not that experienced as other people would talk about, but I have my experiences with this topic. First of all, a little backstory to me. I started watching when I was 12 years old, and I continue roughly until I was 16, 15. So I have some years of addiction. Now, the thing is, like, when you have a porn addiction, it goes into your brain, of course. Your dopamine levels rise up and to watch something more extreme. But the thing is, at least in my example, or at least in my experience, it's something that leaves a mark on you. It never leaves. For example, the innocence of watching another person. I think a lot of people that haven't watched or haven't had the luck to not watch and haven't become addicted, is, I think, that they watch a woman or a man, they just see a person, but something that in my experience that leaves a mark is, for example, at you stare, not stare like this, of course, but you look at like body parts. Maybe it's just me, and I'm a weirdo, but I don't think so, which is like you get like damaged by porn. All these years of watching this vulgar type of sex. When you have like sex, it's very different from porn because of the vulgar and aggression and the degradation of women. All of these genres of porn, which has now was hardcore porn 20 years ago, has become soft porn, which damages our brains even more. But not only that, it's something that sticks with you. I think in my case, what led to like such an extreme that I went so long, but I didn't realize that it was a porn addiction. But why it went on for so long is, I didn't realize, and I think a lot of people don't realize that they have a problem, that you go masturbate when you're bored, or that's so hard not to masturbate. Not only masturbation, but masturbation without video. It is of course different than reading erotic texts or listening to erotic audios. That's different in the sense that you imagine what you're hearing or reading. It's different when you're seeing things, of course. Both erotic audios, erotic texts damage you, but not in the same sense that porn. Because porn is much vulgar. And because porn is also a monopoly, with ethical capital partners owning basically everything, from MindGeek, which changed name into AYLO, AYLO, which is a monopoly to make us addicted. Of course, the best thing a person can do is to talk about it, to not have it hidden inside you, because it would be impossible to leave it behind you. I think why it is also so hard for a lot of people to stop, it is the age of which you start. A lot of people start very young. For example, me. I've heard people that started when they were 7, when they were 9, or even fucking 5, no? Very early, so it becomes this habit. I think addiction is more deeper than just you're addicted, but it's a habit. It has become a habit of masturbation and a habit of porn. Of course, if I would have known the damages it would have to my brain, and the damage of how I see people, and not just people, but women and men, the innocence I lost is what I regret most, I think. That's, I think a lot of people, why they want to relive, to be a kid again, I think it is the innocence of not knowing, which also makes you happier. When you know too much, you become depressed or become sad of the world you live in. When you're innocent and when you're dumb, you oftentimes live happy because you live a simple life with not much thought. So I think that's why a lot of people want to be kids again, or be in the mentality of a kid. And I think, or I know for a fact that I've thought about these thoughts of wanting to be a kid again. Not because I'm smaller and I'm getting taken care of course, that's nice. But I think the biggest thing of wanting to go back is the innocence, in my opinion. but it's something that is deeply rooted within a lot of people in society, but not just me. I think that's the biggest part, or like the hardest part, I think, is like masturbation, in that sense that becoming so addicted to it, the dopamine release, and it's something that you don't even think about, you just do. And then some people do it so much, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, and go to communities where it becomes just porn communities, and you're just on a circle of never-ending pleasure. There has to be yin, there has to be yang, there has to be negative for it to be positive. You can't just live in a positive world, then it becomes negativity. You have to have balance, negative and positive. When you live in a negative world, and when you live in negativity, it becomes almost positive, because the little things makes life worth. I think porn is something to be talked about. Porn is something to be dealt with. Of course, I have had my problems and still am dealing with. But it's something I think that should be talked about because of the sheer importance of it. That's my opinion, that it's something to be talked about, and that's why I'm kind of making this video. For heads up, of course, there's been millions of videos, if not tens of millions or thousands of hundreds of thousands video made on this topic. But I want to give my fair share of opinions on why this is an important topic, and my problems, my personal problems with porn. How it is rotten my mind, in that sense that oftentimes porn addiction can go from porn addiction to just watching videos to becoming a sex addiction that you can't live without it. Of course you can live without it, but it's that you feel that you can't live without it. I think it's something important to keep notice of. But I think I'm going to end this video, and I hope it has served in the good of some people, and that you take in this information and that try to get help some way, shape or form. Try to, if you have a partner, talk with your partner. If you have family that you think you can talk to, of course talk to them. There is some help that you can get. It isn't just a lost world without help. It isn't just big desert with no houses for security. There is help to get. Try to get that help. Of course, porn isn't just completely negative, but it oftentimes leads to negativity, and I think we would live much better if we would live without it. So of course there are psychologists, there are hotlines you can call to, you know? Talk to your friends, talk to anyone, because it's important to stop this addiction that is killing you slowly. Not your body, but your mind. You can revive your body parts, but you can't revive your mind. Once you're dead, you're dead. So, keep this in mind. I hope this video has served some people. So yeah.